was pulled after 1 minute and 59 seconds of game action last week against Utah. A great performance by Grayson Manning in net for the Pioneers, but Klebon, the reigning Big East goalkeeper of the year, returns in between the pipes.
Yeah, we were not there. We didn't see the game, but obviously the coaches saw something. They decided that it wasn't going to be Klebon's day, and Manning did a tremendous job stepping up. Made, I think, 15 saves or 13 or 14 saves.
Well, last year the face-off matchup was Mark Silos versus Alex Dukakis. Now it's Jack Kaskanen versus Michael Kraus. Kraus, the Lynchburg transfer, and Kaskanen missing pretty much the entirety of last year with a lower body injury.
Yeah, the game last year was, I think, the first or second game after Jack had been injured, and it'll be interesting to see how he matches up today.
An impressive showing for Kaskanen last week against Lehigh. We're underway, and it's Kraus who will draw first blood in the face-off battle, but nearly a turnover, as eventually Denver will secure the position. Casey Wilson on the wing will get the ball first for the Pioneers in red. Again, this game last year in Denver, Cornell led 14-10 with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, but then Denver comes back in the game to win 17-16, one of the highest scoring games for Denver on the year, and an early turnover in the cold here at Chillicothe Field gives the ball right back to Cornell.
One of the big things we talked about before we went on the air, Christian, is the importance of the riding game for both teams. Cornell, obviously, once they get into their offense, they have one of the most potent offenses in the country. Denver has a solid offense, but they've had problems clearing the ball through their first couple of games.
Matt Dooley picks up the ball off the ground. Cornell cleared at 94% last week against Lehigh. Only 5 seconds to get the ball over midfield. Nust is trying to find an option and overshoots his man, but still Ryan Goldstein on the backup picks up the ball in an important clear for Cornell, but Goldstein falls on the ground. Boy, Kershke battling with him, and eventually Cornell does retain the possession, a lot of time taken off that shot clock. Your first midfield for Cornell, Willem Firth, Hugh Kelleher, and Ryan Sheehan. Sheehan with the ball right now on the invert. Sheehan around GLE, all the way up top. Kelleher.
Momentarily, he had the short stick. It's going to be interesting to see who they match up with the short stick from the Cornell midfield.
Michael Long found Willem Firth, a little open space there. Firth skip pass to Kelleher, couldn't quite find the target, and time winding down on a shot clock means this is going to be Denver ball.
A good ball movement by Cornell. Unfortunately,
there was a flag on the far side, actually. Didn't see this from the far official, so this is going to be a man up for Cornell.
Very fortunate. There was 1 second left on the shot clock. Cornell moved the ball well. They had a couple of drop passes, and, of course, Ryan Goldstein slipped on the wet turf, which slowed down their offense.
It's a cross-check call on, I believe, Colm Barnett. So this is going to be a Big Red offense who was 3 for 3 on the man-up last week against Lehigh. That goes to work. But against a Denver Pioneers offense who last year was the best man-down defense in the country. One minute for the cross-check, as Cornell will just pass around the outside. Long. Up top, Danny Cadigan. There is C.J. Kirst. Kirst still surveying his options. Long. Moving inside, Kirst. This ball still hasn't found the middle as the skip pass from Firth was taken away, and Klebon will secure it in his crease.
Firth tries to make a crossfield pass. The Denver defense packed in very well on that man down, and the defender was able to get his stick up, intercept the pass, and now Denver will attempt to clear.
And even though that this is a Denver defense that graduated a lot of key players last year, it's still a defense that's allowing less than 10 goals a game. But once again, on the ride, almost a turnover. Is it going to be a turnover? Yes, the ball squirted out of bounds.
Yeah, Charlie Box with a nice job not allowing Denver to get the clearing pass across midfield, so Cornell will set up its clear.
And Staub gets it over to Firth. to secure that clear. A little bit of a rotated line coming up. Now, this might have been offside on Cornell, and it indeed was, as I think Ryan Waldman, we lost track of how many players were on that side. And now Denver trying to move quickly. We'll just settle things down a little bit here. After a frantic pace, at least on the offensive end. There's Cody Malowski right now, and it's an advantageous matchup for Malowski. Cornell does get the switch in time. Mick Kelly, leading goal scorer through the first 2 games for Denver before Malowski's big game last week. Shot from Joshua Carlson just trickles wide of the net of Wyatt Nuss. Already a much slower pace than last year's game, which was just a goal fest beyond all imagination. As Charlie Box is defending on the invert against Marek Zagornius. Kelly feeding inside, and Malowski is denied by Nust.
Great save by Wyatt Nust. Able to step, keep his position, get the stick up. Ball went right into his stick. Stuffed the shooter.
Both benches loud and clear. Cornell really taking its time on clears today, as there's only 3 seconds left to get the ball over the timeline. Did they do it? Yes, just in time, as Box crossed the halfway line. Still sticking with the first midfield line for Cornell. Kelleher, Firth, and Sheehan. So on this offensive possession, it's Kelleher that has drawn the pole. Firth has the short stick birdie. Davis with him. Time winding down on this shot clock. Here's Ryan Sheehan. Up top for C.J. Kirst. Step down for Hugh Kelleher. Too much time and too much space for Hugh Kelleher.
Yeah, let him get his hands free. Last week, Huey had 4 shots on goal, 2 of them with his offhand that just missed the corner of the cage. But this time, nice shot to the bottom of the cage, beats Cleveland. Cornell with a 1-0 lead, 5:09 into today's game.
And it's going to be another point for C.J. Kirst, his very first assist of the year. After scoring 6 goals last week, no assist for Kirst, but now already tied with Michael Long for the early team lead with 7. And as Cornell expects to do a lot today, a face-off win from Jack Cascadin. Can they move quickly? Cornell, TJ Lamb will just hand it off to Kirst and allow for the substitution game to come in.
Cornell's going to get their second midfielder run here. So we already see Ryan Waldman, Andrew Dalton coming on now, and they'll be joined right now by Alex Holmes.
Dalton with the ball, number 42 in white. Draws Barnett the short stick. Here is Holmes, head full of steam. Back to Ryan Goldstein. It'll be interesting to see what a healthy Ryan Goldstein also does in his first full year of action. Waldman had his shot blocked on the way in along with the ground ball.
Mikey Long is tremendous on ground balls. Last week he had 5 ground balls to lead the attack.
And Goldstein has his defender hung up. And it's a dump-off shot for Ryan Waldman. And like you said, Ryan Waldman had so many opportunities last week. It's good to see one go in for him.
Yeah, the coach is very excited about Ryan. He's a sophomore who really had a great fall. He's been off to a great start. And last week against Lehigh, they gave him a lot of opportunities, and it just didn't go. And we talked about it before the game. He's one guy that we expect to see some results today, and sure enough, Ryan Waldman scores the Cornell second goal of the afternoon, 6:10 into the first quarter, assisted by Ryan Goldstein.
And Goldstein had his defender overly hung up, and it made the dump-off pass to Waldman very, very easy. One face-off apiece for each team, as Cascadin is absolutely hounded in this face-off battle. Still looking for a ground ball. It's Bartolotto who picks it up. And Anthony Bartolotto escapes the pressure. Another one of those two-way guys that this Cornell staff is very, very high on, Anthony Bartolotto.
And another Cornell legacy, his brother played here, Joe, and Joe was an outstanding long-stick midi for the Big Red.
Willem Firth, wearing that fabled 51 that Jeff Teat made famous.
There's a story behind that 51 from the Hill School. when we have an opportunity, we'll try to tell the story.
Sheehan. Goldstein again has his defender hung up. Ryan Goldstein at X has, ever since he got into the starting lineup last year, has thrived in this position. Instead, it will just go to C.J. Kirst. Kirst over the shoulder of Klebon. And C.J. Kirst continues to score for Cornell.
A great move by C.J. He beat his man, faked the goalie low, kind of dipped his shoulder before he shot, and then just beat him high with a right-handed shot.
And when we come back here to the game, I think we're going to see the same thing we saw last week from Denver. Grayson Manning as Jack Cascadden wins another face-off, and Cascadden went for a goal but just missed it wide left.
Cascadden showing why he was so highly touted and had such a great freshman year. Last week, 17 of 25. This week so far, 3-1 at the face-off X. Give Cornell the opportunity.
And if Denver wants to come back in this game, it's going to need another heroic effort from Grayson Manning in goal, where he had 16 saves on 21 shots on goal last week against Utah.
And again, right now, Cornell with the second midfield on the field.
C.J. Kirst all the way up top. There's Alex Holmes, one of the second midfield members, drawing the pull of Chris Caldwell. Waldman had the short stick matchup and taken out of his hands. Excellent defense there. It looked like by Sam Trumbull, but the ball still on the ground. And C.J. Kirst, an underrated part of his game, picking up ground balls and causing turnovers as well. They were a big GB for Cornell, and it's a fresh 80 on their clock.
One of the big things for the Cornell attack, clearly, is that Michael Long and C.J. Kirst are outstanding getting the ball off the ground.
And you don't see this often. A short stick hung up against the dangerous attackman in Goldstein. Goldstein will spin around, and it looked like, yes, Manning did get a leg on that. An impressive first save for Grayson Manning, and Blake Kershke was there first for the backup.
Great effort by Mikey Long. It was very close, but the referee was standing right there and felt that Kershke was closer.
Easy clear over the halfway line for Trumbull. Here's the elder Manning brother, Noah Grayson, in goal now. The big reason why he wanted to come to Denver was to play with Noah Manning. And Noah had 5 goals last year against the Big Red in Denver. Walowski going to work. He's drawn a Jason Singer matchup. Manning. Sigornius back to Manning. Nothing inside just yet, and finally Denver squeaks it past in. Andrew Atchison will pick up Denver's first goal of the afternoon.
Looked like he took something off that shot, and it fooled Wyatt Nust, beat Nust for Denver's first goal of the afternoon.
Second goal of the season for Atchison, the senior from Marietta, Georgia. And maybe much like last week, a big save from Manning, and that can kickstart Denver really quickly, and also a face-off win for Krause. It's 3 wins for Cascadden and 2 wins for Krause so far. And
Denver takes a timeout.
One of 2 timeouts of the half taken by Matt Brown. And Matt Brown definitely has his hands full because of the Cornell attack that he has to face this year. All 3 attackers from last year returning in C.J. Kirst, Michael Long, and Ryan Goldstein, and especially Ryan Goldstein, who only played in 9 games, started in 8 of them, but with him coming in and now all 3 of them back on the same line, it's just so dangerous for opposing teams to try and go against that 3-headed monster at attack.
Right, and then when you throw in the midfield where you have Huey Kelleher, one of the best step-down shooters in the country, you got William Firth, who's very crafty, very skilled Canadian former box player, and then you have Ryan Sheehan, who just coaches son, sees the field so well, it creates a tremendous six-man offense.
It's a big reason why Cornell, at least in preseason polls, was either 2 or 3, depending on what poll you asked. Right now, Cornell sitting at 4 in the Inside Lacrosse Media poll. Denver sitting at 12 after an early season loss to Johns Hopkins early on, 13-10 up in Denver to start off the year.
It was an interesting game. Denver got out to a good start, but Hopkins just hung around, and former Cornell coach Peter Milliman has done an outstanding job. The Blue Jays 4-0 heading into this weekend.
And you got to think it's a clash of styles. Unlike last year when it was just a goal fest, it's the Cornell offense versus the Denver defense this year, as Denver, after giving up 13 to Hopkins, has only allowed 8 in 8. And it's the next 2 games, the Air Force and Utah.
Yeah, Denver's always had, from the days that Bill Tierney was the coach, they've always had an outstanding defensive philosophy, and it continues with the Matt Brown coaching staff.
Matt Brown, his second year at the head of Denver after Bill Tierney's retirement from the Pioneers program. In the middle, Malowski, it's a great check from behind from Jason Singer. And you imagine that matchup's going to be fun to watch the entire day, Malowski versus Singer.
Yeah, Singer preseason All-America recognition, All-Ivy last year. Outstanding defender for the Big Red.
Feed into the middle, shot over the bar. And it was Charlie Box who was there first.
I think it hit the crossbar, and nobody really knew where it was. Charlie Box was looking around, and he just kept moving to the end line, and he was closest.
Johnny on the spot, Charlie Box. And even though Cornell's short stick defensive midi group last year was a point of contention for many, especially depth-wise, he still returned a lot of talent there. The 3 main ones you're seeing, Box, Bozzi, and Gil Martin.
Cornell successful on the clear, and William Firth will initiate the offense.
No failed clears yet in this game for either team. That's Cornell's 4th clear of the game so far. And this is going to be interesting. How long does C.J. Kurse keep the ball in his stick with the short stick Casey Wilson on him? Gives it up to Goldstein, who was free for a second.
Yeah, he was looking at Firth, but the defender recovered quickly, so Firth was unable to receive a pass.
And that was slide. Firth, how did he get that shot off? What a goal from Willem Firth. Oh, boy.
We talked a little while ago about William Firth's box lacrosse skills, and that was a classic example of a box player able to keep the ball in his stick while he was double-teamed, got his hands free, and beats Manning with Cornell's 4th goal of the afternoon.
It was Wilson on the initial coverage. Overly came on the slide, and those Canadian box lacrosse skills are so effective in the outdoor game in creating adverse situations into potential goal-scoring situations. Willem Firth showing it off right there. Back to the dot. Cornell 3 face-offs to 2 on the day. Make it 4 for 2, and Cascadin wants to run for goal again. Jack Cascadin!
Nobody slid to him, so he took it right to the cage. He just kept going. And for Jack, that's a huge goal after missing last year with an injury. The opportunity, last week he had an opportunity, and he bounced the shot over the cage. This time he just beats the goalie, and Cornell now up 5-1, 2 goals within 6 seconds.
And you want to know another 6? That's the 6th career goal for Jack Cascadin on the year. And not the same quite success that Grayson Manning saw after making 16 saves last week. Very tough offense, though.
So Sam Ricci taking this face-off for the Big Red as Cascadin gets a chance to catch his breath.
Kraus will win that battle against Ricci, who was 3 for 7 last week. But now can Denver keep the ball and nearly... Yes, Ryan Goldstein does force the turnover. Unsettled situation. And, oh, boy, Grayson Manning made a huge stop there. Denver's first on the backup.
Yeah, right there was the first opportunity for Walker Schwartz to score a goal. He was right on the crease. Usually when you have a long pole, you like to be a little further away. It's very hard for the goaltender to pick up the shot. But there right on the crease, he just had his head up. The goalie had his head of his stick up right in front of Walker Schwartz's stick.
Kelly. He draws Schwartz the long pole. Merrick Sigornius.
Denver trying to spread out the Cornell defense to give themselves some operating room for cutters inside.
Carlson initiates from up top. Up top to Sigornius. Kelly thought about it. And now we'll go for it. His shot wide left.
They set up the matchup there. Kelly had Bartolotto on him, the short stick, so he's able to get his hands free, but he did shoot it wide.
St. Lawrence transfer Judge Murphy against Matt Dooley.
Judge Murphy, an outstanding player at St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence ranked all last year within the top 10. Outstanding team in the Liberty League.
Carlson's bounce shot goes wide as well. Back up there to Noah Manning. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Nothing on cage yet in this possession for Denver. Manning trying to feed it inside, and it looked like it was intercepted first by Singer.
Jason Singer had his stick up. Ball went right into his cross, and now he'll attempt to clear.
Bozzi will find Brendan Staub. This is a familiar position for Brendan Staub, even though he's on close D. Scored many, many goals with Cornell as a long stick midfielder last year. 6 goals in Staub's career with Cornell. Settling things down now with the first midfield out, C.J. Kirst. Already a great day for C.J. Kirst with a goal and an assist. Kelleher, one of the goal scorers. Goldstein all the way up top. The ball moves so fast for Cornell as it usually does.
Interesting that twice he threw the ball over the top, but there was no shot for the player that received the pass.
Goldstein. Kirst. Gets a screen.
He's got the short stick.
And it's Kelly who's caught out on defense. 10 seconds to shoot for Cornell, though. No shots on cage yet. Now they'll get the shot on cage, and Hugh Kelleher will pick up goal number 2. 6-1 the lead for the Big Red.
Assisted to Ryan Goldstein. That's Goldstein's second assist of the day and 6th of the season. And for Kelleher, his second goal of the game and second goal of the season. And Cornell with a 6-1 lead with 1:06 remaining here in the first quarter.
And what a shot as well from Kelleher going low to high.
Yes. Huey has worked on his shot since his first days here at Cornell and has really progressed to the point where he is definitely one of the more dangerous, if not the most dangerous, step-down shooter from the midfield in the country this year.
Yeah, a big reason why Kelleher is one of 3 players on this Cornell team on the Tewaaraton Award watch list. TJ Lamb will win the face-off for Cornell. How about Walker Wallace? And his shot went over the bar.
Walker Wallace came to Cornell as a goalie, so that his playing time was going to be limited, so they gave him a long stick, and he's been an outstanding long stick midi. And it certainly doesn't help that he's about 6'6".
6'7" to be exact, 235. That is a dangerous LSM to go against.
He grew.
It's hard to grow when you're 6'6", but now he's 6'7".
Most people don't notice.
Time winding down in this first quarter. It's a 5-goal lead for Cornell as this vaunted Big Red offense has come to play once again. Alex Holmes will let the timer wind down with Brody Davis covering him. Holmes found Waldman in the transition game. And it's Ryan Goldstein, question mark.
Oh, that was a late hit.
And he will draw the flag as well. Goldstein gets a little bit of assistance to come up as well.
It was a late hit. It was from behind, and it was high. So it's going to be interesting to see how long a infraction this is.
Well, looking at the official right now, we'll see if this is potentially unreleasable. It will just be a normal penalty.
Yeah, it's a 1-minute unnecessary roughness.
And it's against Denver's best defender, Jimmy Freehill, who is their lone representative on the Tewaaraton Award watch list.
Yeah, Freehill from St. Sebastian High School in Massachusetts. He's a senior, so he had the opportunity to play with both Brian Piatelli and John Piatelli, both Cornell legends.
John Piatelli up there on the career goals list for Cornell.
So Cornell will just hold the ball here till the second quarter so that there's no face-off. They'll just start with possession, and they'll have 53 seconds on their man up.
6-1 the lead for Cornell over a Denver defense that was so good at shutting down teams last year, had only allowed an average of 11.3 goals this season, but it's Cornell who comes out of the gate firing in the first 15 minutes here at Cholkoff Field.
Yeah, game started a little slowly as far as the scoring, but Cornell really...
Welcome back here to College Lacrosse on ESPN Plus. Number 4, Cornell with a 6-1 lead over number 12, Denver, as Grayson Manning in between the pipes once again relieving Malcolm Klebon, has a mountain to climb to help Denver get right back into this game. Christian Guzman here on the call alongside Howie Borkin, and Cornell will have 43 seconds on a man-up timer after an unnecessary roughness penalty on Jimmy Freehill.
And Freehill, their top defender, so it'll be interesting to see how the man-up for Denver adjusts, not having the leader and captain of their defense on the field.
The man-up specialists come in for Cornell as well, as Danny Cadigan will be the man-up attacker that comes on. Kelleher has a wide-open Goldstein who dumps it off for Firth. Oh, it's a beautiful find from Ryan Goldstein for his third assist of the day, and Willem Firth's first goal makes it a 7-1 Cornell lead.
Great ball movement by Cornell, and the backside was wide open, and that's probably when we were just talking about Freehill being off the field. They didn't have their team captain. Firth was wide open on the backside. Goldstein saw him, got him the ball. Cornell with a 7-1 lead. It's 26 seconds into the second quarter.
Check that, make that first second goal of the game, but 3 assists already from Ryan Goldstein. How much has that Cornell attack changed ever since he started for Cornell last year?
Well, it just makes a difference. He sees the field so well. He really does, and he's always got his head up, aware of where his teammates are, as Denver wins this faceoff.
Big ground ball for Denver. They were down 11-4 in ground balls after the first quarter, but there was Chris Caldwell who won the ground ball off the faceoff.
Yeah, the negative for Denver also, one save by their goalies in that first quarter, and the replacement Manning, he's not wearing cleats, he's wearing turf shoes.
Well, it is turf here at Cholkoff Field. It may be a little frozen in cold, but it is still a turf field.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned at the top, first time we've seen sun in quite some time, and a bouncer towards cage goes over the bar.
Shooter was wide open. Jimmy Rahill was caught deep, and he realized, and he approached the shooter. The shooter came down, and Rahill got his stick on his stick, and the shot bounced over the cage. Cornell backed it up, so Cornell has the ball.
It was Dooley on the backup and got the clear quickly over to Michael Bazzi. It's hard to get more impressed with this Cornell offense, especially given the amount of turnover, or lack thereof, I should say, for Cornell.
Yeah, they're very disciplined, and they have a tremendous sense of where each other is on the field.
5 of the 6 players on this first Cornell in attack and midfield were starters last year. And when you add Ryan Sheehan to the mix, who was a starter all in 2023, dropped to the second midfield in 24, but now back on that first midfield line this season. And C.J. Kurse, the bouncer goes over the shoulder of Manning.
Another late hit, but there won't be a call. C.J. Kurse hit the bounce shot, went over the goalie's shoulder, and then C.J. Kurse got knocked to the turf, but looks like we're going to have another goalie change for the Pioneers, and Kleban coming back in, replacing Manning.
So Noah Manning only made 1 save in that run, but allows 5 goals this time. A stark difference from last week's game against Utah when he made 16 saves on 21 shots. And Kleban, the Big East goalkeeper of the year in 2024, back in cage for the Pioneers. Krause and Cascadin do battle again. It's Krause who wins this face-off. We're even at 5-5 on face-off wins for each team, which is an important thing for Denver as well, as Cascadin has been touted as one of the best face-off men in the country. Krause only at 47% erring this game, but a ball on the turf again. Walker Schwartz, who the coaches have been so impressed with, nearly forcing a turnover. Another hit by Luke Gilmartin will put the ball on the ground. Anthony Bartolotto can't quite secure the ball, though, for Cornell. And as C.J. Kurse tries to fight for it as well, the ball is still up for grabs. Eventually, it's Jason Singer who escapes from the scrum, but Cody Malowski will take the ball away from Singer. Matt Dooley puts a stick on it. Shot! And that ball just went wide left, backed up by Cornell, and a frantic sequence ends with the Big Red possession.
Yeah, that was a very frantic sequence for a ground ball. But when Denver came up with it, they took a shot from about the 30-yard line, and from 30 yards out, and it bounced wide, and Cornell was Cornell had the only players deep, and Cornell gets the ball and successful clear.
Yeah, 30 yards, that's a 2-point range in the PLL.
Yeah, I think that he felt that the defender was coming on him, and he needed to get rid of the ball, but he probably should have pulled it out. But
Alex Holmes, head full of steam.
This is the Cornell second midfield. Holmes, Dalton, and Waldman again.
Dalton with the ball in his stick. Here is Ryan Waldman. First career goal in the first quarter, but his shot deflected on the way in.
Obviously, they've given Ryan Waldman the green light on this midfield to be the shooter.
Another one of those freshman to sophomore year bumps, Ryan Waldman. And Goldstein found Michael Long cutting inside, just couldn't quite handle the ball.
And again, the problem Denver has had so far this afternoon is clearing the ball. Is it afternoon yet?
We're getting there, yeah.
They've had trouble clearing the ball, and right now they finally are successful.
Brody Davis takes it across the halfway line with the Cornell attackers hounding him all the way through. And Malowski will take Singer all the way up top to start instructing the offense.
So Andrew Dalton is still on the field, though, with the short stick as a short stick defender as Michael Bozzi comes on the field, but Dalton's still in the middle. There's a flag down.
So it looks like Cornell was maybe offside. The shot deflected on the way in from Joshua Carlson. But the whistle will now come in as Cornell will go down a man. First power play for the Denver offense.
All three, it's interesting. You don't you very rarely see this. All three officials had their flags down. They all had the foul. And it looks like it's a technical, I think it's interference, not offside, on Michael Bozzi.
Bozzi and Goldstein are in the box right now. Or we'll get confirmation on who exactly it was on. But this is an interesting storyline to follow. Denver is only 3 of 10 on the power play this year, but Cornell last week giving up 4 goals on 6 power play opportunities to Lehigh.
Yeah, Cornell had that defense packed in tight last week, and Lehigh took advantage of it. They were able to get their shooter at the top free, and he was able to find someone on the backside. So it's interesting to see how Cornell adjusts this week.
Malowski and Carlson trying hidden ball tricks. Man-up has expired as Denver cannot get a shot on cage during the man-up sequence.
Yeah, they had nice ball movement on the perimeter, but there was never a cutter inside. Nothing happened.
And now Luke Gilmartin, the tenacious D, will take Jack Tortolani out of the play there. Carlson got around his defender. What a low save from Wyatt Nust. His specialty picks up his second save of the afternoon.
Tremendous save by Wyatt Nust. He saw that ball all the way. Had it lined up, made the save, and Cornell will attempt to clear.
There's always something that a goalie is particularly good at, and Wyatt Nuss stopping low shots, whether it's stick side or off stick side, seems to be a specialty of his all throughout his career.
Matt Dooley on the clear.
You remember when he went across the halfway line against Princeton last year to score the game winner.
Yep, with just a few seconds left in that game. What a great game last year. Talking about Princeton, Jack Tortolani of Denver, one of their attackmen, his father Justin was an outstanding player at Princeton. Manhasset High School, was one of their all-time leading goal scorers at Princeton, and he was one of the key guys when they turned that program around.
Kelleher, another step down, and Klebon saw that the whole way into his stick. A much-needed save from Malcolm Klebon, his first of the afternoon.
Just Denver's second save against 8 goals thus far in the game.
And how much does that help Malcolm Klebon? Hasn't made a save in a couple of weeks, and finally gets to see the ball enter his stick and just settle him down.
No, absolutely. You know, that first save for every goalie is huge. It's all about confidence. If you're playing at this level, obviously you're good enough to be here. It's just a matter of confidence, and that one save can make all the difference in the world for Malcolm Klebon.
Especially with the regular schedule these two teams play, Cornell facing its first of 8 opponents ranked in the Inside Lacrosse preseason top 20. Denver facing its second of 6 this afternoon.
William Frithcourt on defense for the Big Red right now.
Knowing the Cornell coaching staff, they won't be too worried by that, but it is an opportunity for Andrew Atchison, who has the lone goal for Denver today. Free shot up top and over the bar. 12 seconds.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing.
We're right on the same page as Sogornias will find a free Judge Murphy, and that one was blocked on the way in. 5 seconds left to shoot for Denver. Needs something on cage. And Willem Firth, that's why the Cornell coaching staff is not worried when their midfielders are caught out on defense.
True box player. William Firth just got on his hands, didn't let the attackman get his hands free, Cornell attempts the clear.
Wyatt Nust has only faced 3 shots on goal.
Yeah, the Cornell defense looked very good. They've had a couple of shots blocked in front. In that last sequence, Brendan Staub took one in the shoulder, but that's giving all out for your defense.
I mean, in a shots department, it's 16-13 Cornell, so not a huge difference. But in shots on goal, it's 10-3.
Cornell has always been a very good shooting team, accuracy, putting the ball on the cage. And this team so far, last week and this week, no different.
And Ryan Waldman's got the short stick. Colin Barnett hung up.
Waldman was an outstanding attackman.
And Goldstein looked like he wanted to go BTB, but blocked on the way in. You know, Denver quickly wants to go on a fast break.
I was saying Ryan Waldman, an outstanding attackman in high school. So Cornell has no problem inverting Waldman on attack, and right there he fed from X.
Waldman was the New Jersey Attackman of the Year his senior year of high school. But it's Denver now back on offense, and boy, do they need something to hit the back of the net. Cody Malowski with 5 goals last week. Trying to get around Jason Singer. Can't quite do so. Jason Singer's all over Malowski. The slide will come in from Schwartz, and Nust will make his 3rd save of the game.
Tremendous job by Jason Singer also holding Malowski out. And a great play by Charlie Box.
Box kept that in. How did he keep that in? Opportunity for Cornell in transition. Skip pass from Goldstein. C.J. Kirst around his defender. Huge slide comes, and you need that when you're facing C.J. Kirst. But it leaves Goldstein a little bit alone. Dalton is forced back, and a great transition defense from Denver at least stops the ferocious Cornell attack from scoring quickly.
Cornell changing here through their midfield. Ryan Sheehan just comes on the field. Now he has the ball, and Hugh Keller are coming on right now.
The first midfield horses come on for the Big Red. It's 8-1 Cornell, the number 4 team in the country, showing why they are taking it to the number 12 team in the country.
Well, it's 8-1, and Mike Long does not have a point.
How impressive has that be if you're a Big Red fan as well? 7 points for Long last week. 3 goals and 4 assists against Lehigh. Under 20 to go on the timer. Sheehan. 10 seconds now on the shot clock. Big Red need a shot on cage. Kirst hounded by Overly. 3 seconds. Kirst will get it off and somehow got it underneath Malcolm Klebon. That is C.J. Kirst for you. A second quarter hat trick already for C.J. Kirst.
His 9th goal of the season.
TJ Lamb will take the ball across the halfway point. 6-5 in faceoffs favoring Cornell.
And again, we just talked about it, Mikey Long with the ball. Mike Long has 0 points thus far, and Cornell has 9 goals.
It's quite impressive. C.J. Kirst does have 4 to lead everyone on the field. 3 goals and assists for C.J. Kirst, and you kind of expect that from number 15 in white.
Right, Cornell subbing through with the second midfield again. Ryan Waldman, Alex Holmes on the field, and Andrew Dalton.
3:35 left to go as we get the scorebug back on here on your screen. Christian de Guzman here alongside Howie Borkin. Cornell 9, Denver 1. This almost isn't over at the back, and it will be as Staub can't quite keep it on the Cornell offensive side. Denver trying to move quickly in transition to try and get something on cage. And they can't quite do so. Denver has only had 4 shots on target.
Great recovery by Brandon Staub. He attempted to keep the ball on the offensive half of the field. It bounced over his stick, and it looked like Denver had a break, but Staub able to recover. Now Denver trying to set up their offense here in the second quarter with 3 minutes left.
Eric Sigornius had the ball in his stick. Now it's McKelly. Kelly with 6 goals on the year. Gets around Gilmartin and shovels it in. It's another low stop from Wyatt Nust. You cannot get a goal past Wyatt Nust low.
So far, he looks tremendous low. He's a left-handed goalie, and it doesn't seem like they've adjusted to the fact that he's a lefty because they keep shooting low to his left side.
Daniel Clark, his first game action of the year, has the ball against Luke Gilmartin.
Denver right now trying to find anything they can offensively.
Joshua Carlson gets the slide from the 2 short sticks. McKelly. Kelly shot well right. Right.
Yeah, that shot came out of his stick in a funny way.
Yeah.
He clearly was losing possession of the ball as he shot it.
Gilmartin switches on to Sigornius. So Marek Sigornius will take Gilmartin on the invert. Fake the pass. Kelly, under 20 to shoot. Can't quite find the lane. Tortolani, shot, goes wide.
Jimmy Rahal overplayed him there and slid past him. Tortolani able to get his hands free, get a quick shot off from about 10 yards out, but not putting it on the cage.
And a timeout called by Cornell, the first of Coach Busek's half.
Well, two things. I said it wasn't on the cage. The referee thought differently. New 60 for Denver. Coach Busek wants to sub some players out, so he takes a timeout here. Good timeout for the Big Red. You can't keep them in the locker room anyway. They don't carry over to the second half, so there was a good opportunity with 1:51 here in the first half to take that timeout with Cornell leading 9-1.
What have you seen from this Cornell offense today that has given them their 9-1 lead?
Well, first of all, they have tremendous stick skills. So they're able to keep the ball in their stick, and and we saw that on Willem first goal. Double team comes, two guys are trying to check him. It looked like one of the defenders had his stick on first stick. First tucked the stick down, turned, and was able to get off a ridiculous shot. That, when I say ridiculous, it was a tremendous shot.
Exactly.
99 out of 100 guys can't make that shot. So it was a tremendous shot by Firth, and that's one thing. And then you just have, you have Mikey Longley. I've mentioned it twice now, and I'm going to mention it again. Here's a guy who had 7 points last week. Usually, when he's healthy, has been the leading scorer for the Big Red, even with C.J. Kirst. And he has no points today. So it just shows you how dangerous the other five guys, whether it's the first midfield or the second unit, how dangerous they are. And when we look here, Kirst has his 3 goals, Kelleher has 2, but you got Waldman, Cascadin, so there's tremendous depth here also.
And 3 assists from Ryan Goldstein as well. When you look on the flip side, what's the bigger story? Is it the lack of Denver offense or the staunchness of the Cornell defense?
I think it's a combination. I think Denver does not have the dynamic players that they've had in past years on the offense, but the Cornell defense, the rotations have been very good. The slides have been good. They haven't slid too early. They've been very patient. A couple of times they slipped and they lost a man. And then on the one goal, Aitchison was able to get his hands free, get free in the middle, and it was just because Cornell, the slide never came. So the Cornell defense, the story has been that the defense has been very stout this afternoon.
Fresh 60 on the shot clock, out of the timeout, as Joe Taraboletti will take the ball.
And Cornell did make substitutions. Bartolotto's on the field now. Walker Wallace is on the field. So Cornell able to substitute through on that that timeout.
Bartolotto closing off the shooting lane there. Carlson against Walker Wallace.
Denver right now, there's no movement.
And the ball is checked out by Jason Singer. Bartolotto wants to pick up the ground ball. Same with Brendan Staub. It will be Staub who picks up the GB and gets shoved on the way out.
But again, the offense has no movement by Denver. Nobody's getting open in the middle, and nobody's creating the situation where the Cornell defense really has to rotate real hard. So Cornell's able to react and recover, and Denver's not getting shots.
A lot of praise has to go to Jason Singer. A couple caused turnovers for him today. He's been excellent as really the main defender, the number 1 defender on this Cornell team.
So we're in the last minute. Cornell's going to take their other timeout here to set up their last play. 45 seconds remaining. So according to the score sheet, the only thing that's happened in the last 2 minutes is the 2 Cornell timeouts. But again, great job by Cornell. That timeout, the first one, was great because they were able to set up the defense, get the different players on the field to get the defensive unit that they wanted. And now Cornell they're going to come out of this timeout with the 6 guys they want on. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put out here maybe Danny Cadigan, their offensive, their man-up unit, and run a play that they would run as man-up in the last 45 seconds.
And a lot of credit has to go to Connor Busek, who is, the youngest active Division I men's lacrosse head coach, 35-14 record in his time at Cornell. And It felt like not just Coach Busick, but this entire team was very, very disappointed when last year they missed out on an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. And it was because of losses like to this Denver team last year that didn't give them the resume-boosting wins to get into the NCAA tournament. And should Cornell hold on to this win, that's a big ranked victory against a very good Denver team who many think will be in one of those big contenders in the Big East. And it will be a big resume-boosting win to help Cornell, if the Big Red falter again in the Ivy League tournament, to get an at-large bid.
Yeah, the at-large bids, you really have to, and it's kind of interesting because there are only a few conferences that are really playing for the at-large bids. It's the Ivies, the ACC, the Big Ten. Those are the conferences really that are playing predominantly for that at-large bid. Once in a while the Patriot League may get in there. The CAA generally does not get a second bid. So this is one of the three conferences. But to get that at-large bid, you have to win these games. So now we'll see what kind of play Cornell runs. They put Andrew Dalton on the field, who Andrew Dalton also plays in that bumper spot on the man-up.
Kelleher and Firth passing it back and forth. It's Dalton who takes the place of Ryan Sheehan on this rotated first midfield line. With time winding down, 24 seconds in the first half, a brilliant first half for Cornell, and they would love to see it get to double digits on their score sheet. 15 seconds. Oh, the skip pass from Goldstein was a little bit low. Couldn't quite handle it, but ground balls have been a specialty for Cornell. Hugh Kelleher picks it up. Under 10 to go. C.J. Kirst found open on the doorstep. Andrew Dalton. That's where he makes his bread and butter money, and it is double-digit Cornell goals in the first half against a staunch Denver defense.
And again, we just talked about it. Connor Busick, Jordy Stevens, Cornell coaching staff, they put out there a man-up unit they would use. Andrew Dalton, a man who would be in the middle, Canadian, box player, great hands, great stick skills. C.J. Kirst saw he was open, backside, hits him, puts a little fake up, shoot down, and now Cornell has a 10-1 lead with 4.6 seconds remaining here in the first half.
Jack Cascadden does have a goal on the game. Can't quite win the faceoff cleanly in time to get a chance at goal as the horn sounds for the first half. What a first half from this 2025 Cornell Big Red team. Their home debut here at Choctaw Field. They've put 10 past Denver. We will take a quick break here. Halftime stats, highlights, and more when we come back here at Choctaw Field. It is Cornell 10, Denver 1.
What are we doing today, Coach?
So, today we're going to work on our checking on...
them play you. Right now they're playing to the Cornell strength, and, Wyatt Nuss has made some great saves, but as we said, he's been able to track the ball because they're not shooting. They had one shot on the crease. Otherwise, they've been shooting from 10 or 15 yards out. And as far as the offense goes, what more can you say? They just keep moving the ball. They keep finding guys either open on a step down or on the back door, wide open. And 10 goals and a half is pretty good.
Malcolm Kleban will start in goal for Denver to start off the third half. They went to Grayson Manning momentarily, but he only made one save on 5 goals allowed. Kleban has only made 2 saves. It's not been a great day for the goalie tandem of the Pioneers.
No, it is not. And they were hoping to catch lightning in a bottle for the second week in a row by subbing Cleveland out right away with Manning, but it did not work out as it had last week. As a face-off violation on Jack Cascadden, Denver will have the first possession of the second half.
And new rules as well for this season. That means we won't see Cascadden for the next face-off. It'll have to be Sam Ricci who comes in for Cornell. Very new face-off rules that if you cause a face-off violation, you are not allowed to take the next one.
Right, it's interesting. That's one of the first rules that we've seen adopted from the pro lacrosse, from the PLL to the college level, where if you commit a violation on the face-off, you can't come back and face off again.
And Denver cannot capitalize quickly as Wyatt Nuss makes his 6th save of the game, and yet it's another low save from Wyatt Nuss.
Yeah, exactly. He came in, he probably should have faked low and shot high because Wyatt seems to drop it right as soon as that he sees that he's tracking the ball so well. But Nuss makes another great save, and Cornell clears the ball.
It looked like Wyatt Nuss wouldn't get a starting spot again after Matt Tully went in last year and made quite a few good games last year, starting with that Princeton game. But ever since Nuss came in relief during the Syracuse game last year, he has looked ever the part of being one of the best goalies, not just in the Ivy League, but in the nation.
Yeah, and as a result, he was recognized preseason as a third-team All-America. Denver pressing out here on the Cornell offense, trying to make Cornell or force Cornell into mistakes.
And Michael Long still can't quite find that first point. It is Malcolm Kleban who makes his third save of the game. And we've talked about this throughout the majority of the game so far. This is a Cornell offense that has scored 10 goals, and Michael Long doesn't have a single point yet.
Yeah, and that was Michael. That was a good look. It was a good feed from CJ to Michael Long. Michael Long got off a good shot, but Kleban able to track it. Good save. And now Denver will attack the big red goal.
You usually expect the Del Barton duo of Long and Kurst to come up with a goal whenever both of them touch the ball on a possession. Not quite there, as a great save from Kleban. And like we talked about in the first half, how much did he need these saves?
Yes, so that's his third save of the game. And for Michael Long, that was just his first shot.
A little miscommunication, and Mick Kelly was left free for the goal, and Denver will strike first here in the second half. Eddie Rahill kind of slid on the double, and no recovery there as he left Kelly.
Yeah, there was a little confusion by the Cornell defense there. And again, we talked about move the ball, get the defense to rotate. If they commit or overcommit, then there's an opportunity. And Denver took advantage there with their second goal of the afternoon.
And that's exactly what you said. That was the ball movement and the rotation that freed up Kelly hands free for the goal. As we'll go to the face-off dot again, Sam Ricci will take the face-off, but this time he forces Krause into the violation, so Krause will not be able to take the next face-off, and it's a face-off win for Sam Ricci, replacing Cascadin, who had the earlier violation.
So now the Cornell offense will set up, and we'll see the Cornell, I think we'll see the second midfield.
That's Ryan Waldman with the ball in his stick, his first career goal in the first quarter of this game, as the ball was deflected on the way out by a Denver pole, so the ball will stay with Ryan Goldstein. Alex Holmes.
It's Denver pressing out here in the second half, trying to force Cornell to making mistakes early.
Holmes left alone for a second. Long forced away from the cage. It's Kirst and Goldstein behind GLE. Still plenty of time on the shot clock, 30 left. And you know CJ Kirst has no issue initiating from range. He'll get the slide, but this is a short stick on CJ Kirst. Brody Davis. Dangerous times, and Kirst notices. They'll finally get the pull on, but again, Goldstein has his defender hung up and finds Michael Long. There is Michael Long's first point of the game, and it comes off Ryan Goldstein's fourth assist today.
And what we talked about, the game kind of being played at a slower pace offensively. Cornell used 49 seconds once they got the ball into the offensive half of the field. Ryan Goldstein had the first cutter come through. He wasn't open. Mikey Long was the second cutter, and Cornell now has 11 goals. Goldstein, as you said, has 4 assists, and Mike Long on the scoreboard for the first time today.
And usually you're saying Michael Long has 4 assists, since that's what he had last week against Lehigh. It's such an underrated part of Ryan Goldstein's game. You know, the 21 goals from last year pop out, but he did have 12 assists. And being that main initiator at X, Ryan Goldstein's, distributing abilities are sometimes a little bit underrated, as Charlie Box can't quite control the face-off. Christopher Testa, who was in for Michael Krause, will get the face-off win.
Yeah, Sam Ricci took the face-off again, so they're giving Jack Cascadin a little bit of a blow. And Charlie Box picked his head up, took his eye off the ball, and pushed the ball out of bounds rather than scooping it up. So Denver will have possession.
Cody Malofsky will initiate with the ball, and we talked about the defense that Jason Singer has provided. He has essentially shut out Cody Malofsky from this game. 5 goals and 2 assists from Malofsky last week against Utah. And Jason Singer with 2 caused turnovers. You could see him right there, 43 in white, has really stepped up to the task against Malofsky.
Yeah, the task today was Singer against Malofsky and Freehill against Kirst. I think the difference is for Cornell that Cornell has so many options.
Atchison, the lone one of 2 goal scorers alongside Mick Kelly. Carlson will try from range. And no, not Carlson, that's Joe Taraboletti, excuse me, who gets the 3rd Denver goal of the day.
Yeah, that there was an interesting pick there, not allowing, I believe it was Walker Wallace, to get out on the shooter.
Yeah, it was Molowski who was in the way.
Yeah. So that gave Denver the opportunity to score its 3rd goal of the afternoon. And we knew Denver would play a better second half. And so far in the first 3 minutes and 46 seconds, they have played a better second half.
And think about the offensive minds on the Denver staff as well. Matt Brown in his 2nd year, who was the offensive coordinator under Bill Tierney for all of his years at Denver. And they bring in also Dave Metzbauer, who previously was working with Bill Tierney at Princeton as his offensive coordinator, was with North Carolina most recently as their OC.
Yeah, Metzi was the offense coordinator at Princeton when they had that outstanding attack of Massey, Hess, and Hubbard, and he was the offensive coordinator there for those 6 championships. And then he went to North Carolina when Tierney left for Denver, and now he's here.
How about the effort there from Anthony Bartolotto, by the way? The Cornell sideline is absolutely pumped for number 12 and white, dodging all those sticks and picking up the ground ball. Bartolotto, TJ Lamb, this Cornell coaching staff loves the tenacity both of those short stick D-middies bring.
Right. One of the things we talked about earlier and was a difference last year, there were games last year where Cornell couldn't get the ball off the ground on the defensive half of the field, giving their opponents an extra opportunity. Today, that's not happening. Cornell's doing a great job off the ground in the defensive half of the field.
Ground balls are 17-13 in favor of the Big Red. And once again, here's another patient set on offense, winding down the shot clock.
Yeah, there's no reason to rush. Cornell's up by 8 goals. They don't need to score a goal a minute here. And it's just smart lacrosse. Just get the ball around, get everybody touches, include everybody in the offense. It's only the 2nd game of the year.
Yeah, cursed against Overly. This is the thing. We haven't seen cursed against Freehill pretty much the entire day, as Kelleher will send this ball wide left. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Well, Cornell's done a pretty good job of picking and switching so that Kirst finds himself covered by someone other than Freehill.
It's mainly been Russell Overly who gets the switch onto Kirst as Goldstein gets around GLE, needs a shot on Cage. It will come from Ryan Sheehan, but it didn't quite hit the target. 1 second left, and Michael Long will just have to dump this in the corner.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating. It was a great look. He had a great opportunity. He was wide open on the crease, and he just shot it wide. I'm sure Ryan Sheehan wants that back, that opportunity back, but shot clock expires, so Cornell will find itself playing defense and riding here.
I don't think Ryan Sheehan's going to have a lot of time to talk to Dad later today about that. His dad has a very, very important game coming up as Lemoyne not able to play at Ted Grant Field. Dan Sheehan will take his Lemoyne team to play at the JMA Wireless Dome after Syracuse plays Harvard later today. So that's a fun day of lacrosse up in central New York.
Mm-hmm. Great ride by Cornell. Denver throws the ball away. Cornell right back on the attack.
Stats-wise, that's only the 2nd failed clear of the day. For Denver, it feels like a lot more.
Yeah, it feels like there are more. According to the stats in the first half, there were only 5 attempted clears by Denver. So Cornell's got that 2nd midfield unit on again. Ryan Waldman with the ball.
And they trust this 2nd midfield a lot as well. Well, Dalton and Holmes, the veterans on this team, as Yardstick goes going, that might be a non-contact there on Alex Holmes.
Yeah, it looks like an injury.
Didn't look good as he went to ground. Ball will go to Denver. And a couple players on there taking a knee right now as the trainers are out to immediately take a look at Alex Holmes, the senior from Queen for Virginia, playing in his 29th career game with the Big Red. Some of the other attackers and midfielders have such an important piece to this Cornell team.
Just a solid player. You wait for your opportunity, particularly at these top programs. Only 10 guys, and 10 guys start. Generally, you run 18 players. So with a roster of 40, 45, 50 players, you have to wait your opportunity. The opportunity comes, and hopefully it's not too serious.
Well, all the best for Alex Holmes. Hopefully the injury is not as serious as it looks, as the ball will start at the top of your screen here with Denver, with Chris Caldwell taking the ball first. We haven't talked about Jimmy Freehill, who just launched the ball to the opposite side of the field that much, as the Lone Tuarton Award watch list player for Denver, has really not made his presence felt in this game so far. He hasn't had too many opportunities to do so because, like you said, Howie, the Cornell offense has done a great job of getting the ball away from Jimmy Freehill.
Yeah, they really have done a great job. And again, it's because they have the constant motion. They've been moving the ball, not allowing Denver to really set. Denver constantly caught in rotations, leaving a man open and allowing Cornell to get some easy shots right on the crease.
Here's McKelly, one of 3 goal scorers for Denver today. Manning had 5 goals the last time these two teams played. Only has an assist to his name today. Under 30 to shoot. Kelly will go low. It's another low stop from Nust.
Obviously, they didn't scout Nust very well because they keep shooting low, and he's just right on it.
Here's Michael Bozzi in transition. Also had Luke Gilmartin. Gilmartin's still up there for support if needed.
Gilmartin has shown that he can play offense.
2 goals last week against Lehigh, and he sets a pick here for Kirst. Kirst had an attack, a cutting Bozzi, which you don't see too often, and it's a step down from Hugh Kelleher, which just misses wide. But you can't let that happen too many times.
No, you can't let Hugh Kelleher shoot from 15 yards out, square on, straight ahead. But that time he shot the ball wide.
Goldstein gets past GLE, and it's a skip pass to Keller. Another step down. The low bouncer maybe came out a bit too slow, and it ended up being an easy low save for Klebon.
Yeah, it looked like Klebon had it lined up all the way.
So Denver back onto the clear. This is a Denver team on the year that's only clearing at 77% coming into the game. And a Cornell team that routinely holds teams to under 85%. Last year and this year, and this time it looked like they didn't get it across in time or were offside.
Offside.
Indeed, it was offsides, and Kirst will set it up again. It's another step down from Keller. It's another save from Klebon, showing off why he was the 2024 Big East Goalkeeper of the Year. Overly in transition. And a bouncer off the cage.
Yeah, Cornell got caught in the transition there. But the shot hit the pipe and bounced out, but Denver maintains possession.
Chris Mirages just missed his second game action of the year. And here's Andrew Atchison. One of 3 goal scorers for Denver. Carlson will let one rip, and the bouncer goes over the shoulder of Wyatt Nust.
And again, Cornell late on the rotation. Shooter in the middle of the field is wide open. And we have a timeout on the field with Denver scoring its 4th goal of the afternoon at 9:10 of the 9 minutes and 10 seconds in. So Cornell's got their first midfield unit on the field now.
For Sheehan and Keller. And it's another short stick matchup against CJ Kirst. Casey Wilson. Kirst inside to Goldstein, who was cutting in, lost control of the ball momentarily. Sheehan picks it back up on support. 30 seconds left to go in the shot clock. And Long has the short stick. That's also dangerous. He'll invert. $15 to shoot. Sheehan will return it to Goldstein, who takes his spot at X. Long still facing the short stick. 10 seconds to go. It's great defense on Michael Long, and the help comes from Chris Caldwell to force the turnover.
Great double by Denver's defense there.
Looked like it was Sam Trumbull who was the main defender there on Michael Long, and the short stick defensive midi from Canada will do a good job there to square off one of the best attackers in the Ivy League in Michael Long.
But again, Cornell using a lot of time on the shot clock before they initiated their offense.
Noah Manning draws the short stick matchup against Charlie Box. 5 goals for Manning in this matchup last year. Murphy hasn't had a ton of touches on the ball either. Another short stick matchup here. Wide open shot and a goal.
And again, same thing. That shooter is wide open at the top. Cornell late to recover.
Jack Tortolani will find the back of the net, as this time they go high on Wyatt Nust. And that's where Denver has had its success, beating Nust from distance.
Well, not only that, but they're square on, so they're shooting. They have both corners wide open, so it's a great shooting opportunity for the shooter, and it's very difficult for a goalie to cover both sides of the net, particularly at the velocity that the shooter is able to shoot because no one's on his hands.
It's a 4-1 advantage in goals for Denver in this third quarter. A much better looking appearance from this Denver team to start off this second half, and certainly it has slowed down Cornell's rapid offense by a lot.
Yeah, we knew that they would play better in the second half. Yeah, they're a good team. They're a good team. Sometimes the score can be deceiving, but this is a good Denver team. Cornell also, you come out, you had a 10-1 first half. You're a little bit, I wouldn't say full of yourself, but sometimes, you're just a little flat. And Cornell's had opportunities, they just haven't finished.
Second midfield is out as it would be Anthony Bartolotto who replaces Alex Holmes on the second midfield line. Alex Holmes injured on a non-contact play earlier in the quarter. 30 seconds left. Skip pass from Goldstein, but Kirst couldn't quite release and fire in time. Andrew Dalton right on the doorstep, and Klebon, that probably went off his helmet, it looked like. And an impressive save from Malcolm Klebon, who's now up to 6 saves. And after the goalie switch to begin the game, Klebon coming back in, he has certainly settled down in a big way to help stabilize this Denver defense.
Yeah, I think that ball hit his helmet, and then it hit the crossbar, came down outside of the net, and Denver was able to clear the ball. So again, Cornell's had these opportunities, they just haven't been able to convert them. When we were talking about in the first half, they converted 10 of 19 shots. So over the course of the game, those things are going to even out.
Yeah, on off your screen right now, Russell Overly just gave Klebon a huge hug to appreciate the efforts that the goalkeeper has put on. Bartolotto will stay on defense to face off against Noah Manning as the shot clock does not matter. 20 seconds left in the third quarter.
Denver will probably initiate a play in about 2 seconds. They'll start their play.
Again, Manning with 5 goals against the Big Red last year in a 17-16 win. Manning right on the doorstep. Great defense from Dooley on Judge Murphy.
That's great recovery by Matt Dooley.
Manning will try again, but Murphy can't quite put his handle on the stick. Dooley forces him away, and that's how the third quarter ends. But a much better third quarter for Denver has cut the deficit quite a bit. Still, Cornell leads 11-5, and Providence are tied at 4. Penn and Delaware are at 7-0 in favor of Penn, a big game for them. And Princeton is down 7-4 to Maryland. You look at Cornell's upcoming schedule, taking on Hobart, and then 2 big games against 2 preseason top 20 teams in Richmond and Penn State. Christian Guzman here alongside Howie Borkin as the fourth quarter is about to get underway. And this is a Denver team that is definitely rejuvenized after a great third quarter, which saw Denver outscore Cornell 4-1.
Great effort on the faceoff by Cascada, but Denver gets possession. You'd like to see Cornell close the gate here and get the next goal because Denver outscored them 4-1 in the third quarter.
And great job from TJ Lamb to force the ball away from Chris Caldwell. It was nussed out of Cage, who picked up the ground ball but couldn't quite find Michael Bozzi. And this time it's Klebon who rushes out to pick up the GB. And a big cheer from the Denver sideline as they successfully clear the ball.
Right now, Denver on a 3-goal run, and one of the most important things is to prevent the other team from going on a run. So it would be a nice time here for Cornell to get a stop and get a goal.
Jack Tortolani has one of the goals. He's covered by Michael Bozzi. And now takes Bozzi on the invert. Tortolani finds Kelly, who also has a goal. And the shot saved by Nuss. Judge Murphy couldn't quite get it past him.
Great save by Wyatt Nuss. Now Cornell's got that stop. Now they need to get a clear and stop the run here by Denver.
Cornell has not failed a clear yet. Denver has failed 2. That trend will continue as Brendan Staub is across the halfway line. A position he is also familiar with as Noah Manning covering him. Staub with 6 career goals. Even though he's playing close D now, No stranger to let one rip.
Good job on the clear by Cornell.
Long back swing. Staub will take a shot just over the bar. And Staub faked the change and stayed on for the shot.
You talked about it. He's very good with his stick, and Cornell recognized that. On the substitution, the Denver player went off, leaving Staub all alone. He came back in, took the shot. It was high and wide. Still 30 seconds on the shot clock.
Cornell has been taking its time in the second half offensive possessions. Ryan Sheehan might have had a lane, but his pass for Firth is way over his head. And an unforced turnover will give the ball right back to the Pioneers.
Good clear by Denver.
Turnovers are 12-9. 12 Denver turnovers to 9 Cornell turnovers. So while the play has been relatively clean for Cornell, Denver is slowly creeping back into this game. Like how we said, Pioneers currently on a 3-goal run. Carlson has a goal. He's got Gil Martin, the short stick, covering him. Joshua Carlson once again went for the bouncer. This time Nuss saw it all the way and looked with the Emmett Carroll body save.
Yeah, the difference this time is he did not have the wide open shot that he had on his when he scored his goal a few minutes ago.
Clean clear by Cornell as Firth takes it across the halfway line. And definitely, as you can see, the difference in halves, Cornell in this half has been in no rush to initiate any offense.
No, they've been very patient. They've been patient all day, but in the second half, unlike the first half where every opportunity, where they had a great opportunity, they were able to finish. They had a shot go wide, they had a shot go over the cage, and then Cleveland has made a few nice saves here in the second half.
Cleveland's up to 6 saves on 6 goals allowed. As Kirst will end that streak. C.J. Kirst has 4 goals. That is career goal number 175 for C.J. Kirst.
And just he was very patient, rocked back and forth, waited, had the opportunity, dodged, beat the defenseman underneath, and beat the goalie with a bounce shot. Sometimes it's not, you don't have to shoot that hard. You just have to be accurate. Right there, C.J. very accurate. He beat his man inside, little bounce shot. Cleveland had no chance.
Mike French has held the career goal record for Cornell for nearly 50 years at 190 career goals. And C.J. Kirst will almost certainly break that record this year. As cascading off the faceoff, checked the stick on the yard sale. And
it was a legal procedure. The stick got checked out of his hand. It's on the ground. The ball did not come out of the cross, so it's Cornell ball.
And Luke Allred couldn't quite keep the hands on the stick. So the second midfield will come out. It'll be interesting to see if Anthony Bartolotto is still on that second midfield line.
Well, right now they have Andrew Dalton running with Hugh Kelleher. So it'll be interesting to see because they got Michael Bozzi still on the field as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here.
Kelleher couldn't quite get the ball over to Dalton as the ball was still on the ground, and eventually the ground ball was picked up by Firth. And Goldstein will pick up his first goal to add on to his 4 assists.
Ryan Goldstein, very similar to his father, Tim Goldstein, the Hall of Famer, former World Team member, able to get the ball in and out of his stick so quickly. Firth found him without an instant. The ball was already in the cage. Beat Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's a right-handed goalie. Beat Cleveland over his left-hand shoulder. Perfectly placed in the top corner.
That's 5 points now for Ryan Goldstein, a goal and 4 assists, and the first assist for Willem Firth on the game.
And the season.
Yes, indeed. 2 goals and an assist today. Firth in the last game against Lehigh with 4 goals. And now Cascaden wins another face-off. He is up to 8 face-off wins on 17 attempts.
And Lacrosse, it's such a momentum game. Things have changed so quickly. Cornell had given up those 3 goals. Denver getting into the game. It's 11-5. Cornell scores 2 goals. They win the face-off, and all of a sudden the momentum has switched immediately back to Cornell.
Cornell will keep Anthony Bartolotto on the second midfield line. He is there with the ball. Something that not only will keep track of the rest of this game for the rest of the season as well, if the injury to Alex Holmes is as significant as we feared. Kirst going up against Freehill. This is the matchup we've been waiting for. Kirst gets doubled by Wilson, so backs off. Waldman has drawn the pole. Goldstein, a rare space for him behind, above GLE. Dish off to Sheehan. Sheehan again, and the skip pass was intercepted by Overly. Great job by him, but can't clear the ball. This is going to be a push, though, and the possession will stay with Denver.
It could have gone either way, a push or a hold. So Denver has the ball and a successful clear.
Colton Barnett has taken it across the halfway line into the Denver zone. Cornell has extended its lead back to 8, approaching the halfway mark of the fourth quarter. Yeah, the Cornell offense has done a great job as well of burning down the clock. Kelly against Dooley. Sigornius against Bartolotto. Nice swim move, and that's a beautiful save from Wyatt Nust as well. The pass, though, to get the clear is a little bit off target, but Michael Long does find it well. CJ Kirst winds and scores.
Michael Long's second point of the day, his first assist. Cornell with a 14-5 lead with 8:14 remaining in the game. And that was clearly out of the substitution box. The pass was intended for Michael Bossia. Went under his stick. Michael Long coming out of the box, picks up the ground ball. C.J. Kirst coming out of the box is all alone. Michael Long wasn't going to miss him, and C.J. Kirst was not going to miss that shot. Cornell 14-5.
Like I said before, it's kind of what happens when you've played together for so many years. Michael Long and C.J. Kirst going all the way back to their Del Barton years in high school. And now C.J. Kirst has 5 goals today.
What a lot of people don't realize is that Del Barton, the all-time leading scorer, is not C.J. Kirst. It is Michael Long.
And he picks up the ground ball, Michael Long does, to keep the ball in Cornell possession. TJ Lamb wants a goal, and Cleveland will stop that low.
I don't know if the Cornell coaches wanted that shot, but...
But they do want the cause turnover on the field, clear from Walker Schwartz. And Ryan Goldstein, who has a bit more playing time on his hands, will settle down the offense.
And again, we've talked about it most of the day. Cornell hasn't really gone into their offense until about 40 seconds, 35 seconds on the shot clock. So when TJ took that shot, I don't think that was what the coaches wanted. But, you know, he's open. He's got his hands free. His eyes are like falling saucers. So he took the shot.
5 goals and 2 assists for C.J. Kirst. He's got 13 points on the season through 2 games.
And again, what's so impressive, now Mikey Long now has 2 points today. But Cornell 14 goals, and Mikey Long with just those 2 points.
7 points for Kirst, 5 points for Goldstein. Here is Goldstein with the ball. His passing has been excellent, and it's another goal for C.J. Kirst, matching his total from last week with 6.
And the Cornell offense is just so dangerous. And Denver's going to take a timeout here.
Seymour Ton Award watch list players playing in this game. Jimmy Freehill for Denver. You have Michael Long and Hugh Kelleher for Cornell. But the one that has obviously stood out is the one who was previously a Ton Award finalist, C.J. Kirst, with 8 points today, 6 goals and 2 assists.
As a push. Yeah, it'll be Cornell ball. Jack Cascadden is just so strong. He just ran over Michael Krause.
And Cascadden doesn't have the face-off stats today that you might expect. He's only 9 of 19 from the face-off dot.
But when he's won face-offs, he's won a lot of them, of those 9, cleanly, which gave Cornell some sort of transition or some sort of break. And on the other ones, Denver really hasn't had an opportunity to get their hands free.
Waldman looking for his second goal of the game, can't quite find it. This is something we've talked about last year as well, where, you know, sometimes Cornell would go on face-off droughts, not winning a lot of face-offs, but to the attempt to secure the initial possession after the face-off has always been a challenge for some teams, since Cornell just in general is so good at riding after the face-off.
Yeah, Cornell has always been a great riding program, which creates a lot of offensive opportunities because they'll have more possessions. But last year's problem was a lot of times they didn't come up with ground balls after shots or saves, and it gave the other team an second or third opportunity. This year, right now, they seem to have cleaned that up and are doing a much better job of not allowing second and third chances.
Cornell +5 in the ground ball department today against Denver. Jack Cascadden himself has 5 ground balls during his face-off tenure. Noah Manning's on the invert against Charlie Box. Gets the switch after Cornell threw the ball away on the possession. Tortolani thought about it, but had a good angle, didn't decide to fire.
It was interesting. I thought he was going to shoot, and he decided to pull it back.
Manning got the pass tipped on the way out, so this will stay with Denver ball.
29 seconds on the shot clock.
Sigornius, he's been quiet, being covered by Staub all day. Daniel Clark, again, has been given some run, number 23, in red.
I think it's a matter of Denver's just trying to find something to get their offense, just get it going.
Yeah, and the pass inside for Milosky was not on target. Only 5 seconds left to shoot. Manning's going to have to let one fire. It's another low save from Wyatt Nust. Staub can't quite keep the ball in his stick and eventually fires it over. Huge collision between Kelly and Box on the ride. Five seconds to clear for Cornell. Big Red have not failed to clear today unless Staub gets it over to someone. Did they get it in time? No, they did not. The near side official says that Staub did not fire that ball across in time. So, unfortunately for Cornell, the first failed clear of the day. They had succeeded on the previous 19.
Still a good number, 19 out of 20.
19 out of 20 most coaches will take. Especially when your first failed clear comes with 4.5 minutes left in the game.
Yes, and a 10-goal lead.
It is a 10-goal lead for Cornell. The fortunes from last year shifting after Cornell lost to Denver 17-16 up in Colorado last year.
There were a lot of upset people after that game, and I think Cornell had this game circled on their schedule.
Of course, a lot of the highlights will be about the offense. I got to give a lot of credits to this Cornell defense, which forces another turnover.
Well, that was a great play by Michael Bozzi. He got his stick in the passing lane, deflected the pass. Now Cornell finds itself in transition. Michael
Long wanted to find Gil Martin in transition, but couldn't quite get the pass to him. But it's the Cornell ride that once again forces the ball away from Denver. And across the timeline was Brendan Staub as usual. Can't quite keep it in for Ryan Goldstein, though. And a timeout will be taken here.
Cornell has called the timeout.
Coach Busick will use a timeout with 3:22 left to go in this game as we take a look at what did Quinnipiac. And then a very interesting game for them after Yale shockingly upset in very right now for Princeton is in goalkeeping with Michael John Ficaro now playing for North Carolina. Shot, and Nuss didn't know that he saved that. I think it was off of Daniel Clark's stick. And Jason Singer will meet Russell Overly. You don't see two close D meeting all that often as a timeout will be called, it looks like.
I think they called a ward on Jason Singer.
When's the last time you've seen a close defender be called for a ward?
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, particularly at the middle of the field.
Exactly. Under 2 minutes to play here at Chilco Field. And Cornell should wrap up an excellent victory, an excellent resume-boosting victory as well over Denver. And this should get a lot of people excited for what Cornell has to bring coming up later this year. Yep. As McKelly will miss wide with the shot.
Now, Cornell's got to be very happy with their performance, or its performance today. Against this is a good Denver team. They will be okay as the year goes on.
One of the favorites alongside Georgetown for the Big East crown as this shot went off. It looked like a Cornell player and deflected away. Zagornius will initiate from the end line. Up next for Cornell is a midweek trip at Hobart, and then they travel down to Virginia to play Richmond before coming back home and really another one of the big non-conference games for Cornell, trying to avenge a loss to Penn State from last year as well. And it was really those two big wins, as the flag is going to come down, with Cornell going on the man down. It was really these two games, Denver and Penn State, those two big losses, a big reason why Cornell was left out of the tournament.
Right, and there was the Notre Dame game also that they had the opportunity. There's a 1-minute penalty on Brendan Staub with 1 minute and 4 remaining. So Cornell will be on the man down for the second time today. Much better job than last week against Lehigh, where they were man down 6 times.
Yeah, the disappointment has really shown up here for Cornell as well. Like you said, only the second time that they're in a man down situation.
But also in that last sequence before the penalty was called, 2 times Denver shot the ball and Cornell was able to get their stick on the hands of the shooter, and the shot went over the cage. So another indication of the great job that Cornell's doing.
Staub forced to the ground after the ground ball, and Nust can't quite get the back up on the shot wide.
I think that was Singer that got knocked down.
Oh, yes, right. Staub is the one in the box. You see the 3 on the end of the jersey.
We were talking about the jerseys for Denver. Very difficult to see their numbers. The Cornell number's a little easier.
It is the classic font for Denver that they've been wearing for quite some time. 30 seconds left here in a game that will go down as a Cornell win in the record books. And something very impressive for Coach Busek. Walker Schwartz got a stick on that. And they've been so impressed, the Cornell coaching staff, with number 53 in white.
Very active with their sticks today. Unlike last week, we talked about at the beginning of the game, we talked about the man down last week at Cornell. They gave up 4 goals on 6 man downs. And they weren't very active with their sticks today, knocking balls down, not allowing passes in the passing lane in the middle.
A rip for a shot, and this one will also go wide. Time about to expire on the main down, and time also about to expire in the game. Wowski will feed inside for one more shot. Again, it goes wide, 0.2 of a second left, and Cornell is going to be happy on their bench, as this one will go in the record books as a win for the Cornell Big Red. It is 15-5 with a bit of extracurriculars to get sorted out of the way here, with some Denver players a little bit mad at the end of this game. You can see them right in the face of the Cornell players. But this is going to be a Cornell Big Red win, 15-5 over Denver. Boy, did they need that win after avenging the Demons from last year.
That was very important.
ப்ரோ எனக்கு ஐஃபோனில் ஸ்டோரேஜ்